Hey friends, thanks for being here. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, like definitely one of my favorite days of the week other than the weekend. Weekends are nice because I don't have to work, but so happy Tuesday and happy full moon week. So full moon in the sign of Sagittarius on Thursday, a big part of what we're talking about here today. Hi Nikita, good to see you here as always. Our most faithful participant here. Let's go ahead and put our intention up for this week. I create an open space for unity. I create an open space for unity. So, if you haven't seen the intention before now, go ahead and take a moment to just kind of see what the first things are that come up. I like to share it on Sunday so that way you have a couple days to work with it yourself or just sit with it, just see what comes about if you want to. But you don't have to either. You can just show up here on Tuesday or whenever you're able to and participate. But, I say all the time that, I really hope you get some good stuff from me, but there is some good insights and information that you can get from your own contemplation and your own headspace and your own heart that I absolutely cannot give to you. So I always encourage you to sit with it at some point before, after, whenever you're able to. Hi Mary, thanks for being here. It's good to see you. Hope you're having a good day and a good start to your week. Hope everybody's having a good week. So the sun has moved into the sign of Gemini, so happy birthday to all of you Gemini suns. This is the one time a month that I like to remind everybody that there is a 20% discount on the website during your sun sign season. So just a nice little happy birthday perk for general readings, solar returns, whatever it is that you are looking to get out of that. So let me go ahead and pull my things up here and we'll get going. So the sun moved into the sign of Gemini yesterday, Monday, May 20th, sun moved into the sign of Gemini. So starting to get a bit of a shift from that earthly Taurus sign into the sign of Gemini. Sun has entered and other planets will follow shortly. Specifically Venus and Jupiter coming right behind it. So all of the aspects that we have this week, we're going to talk about them in context of being part of the full moon. They do start to come through before the full moon, which is on Thursday, but really since these aspects are applying right before the full moon and the full moon comes within a couple days of the aspects, you can really think of all of this as sure, you can think of them as separate energies that come through certain days, maybe one is a little stronger than the others, but you can really kind of consider them all together as part of the full moon, or just being active all week because they are wrapped up as part of that full moon. So gives a little bit more range and a little bit more potency to the aspects that we have this week. So sun moving into Gemini already happened yesterday. The other aspects that we have are the sun moves, so soon as the sun moves into the sign of Gemini, which was yesterday, instantly and applying to a trine with Pluto. The exact aspect is tomorrow, Wednesday the 23rd. Again, like I said, this is really all through the whole week here that you can look at these aspects. But we have this nice trine between the sun and Pluto leading us off here through the week. So Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, sun in Gemini. So trines are always of the same nature, or the same elemental nature. So we're looking at the element of air here. So with this trine, you have this, right off the bat, you have this mental, intellectual expansion. That starts us off this week. So it's a opening. Our intention this week, I create an open space for unity. That trine expands things. It's a Jupiter flavored intent or aspect. So you get this expansion or this abundance of, or this opening of with the trine, and with the sun you get a like a spotlight or like a illumination or a shining of that planet. So you have this spotlight on Plutonian type things coming through this week. And that sometimes off the bat that can sound a little bit like intimidating, a little bit scary, because the Pluto things are sometimes those heavy things, those things that have depth, those things that may be a little bit hidden, those things that have like some intensity, those things that like can be a little bit strong, right? But we already went through the square. That was when when the sun entered Taurus last month. So we already had the square to Pluto, which is the scratchy aspect that kind of like makes you uncomfortable, makes you kind of want to move. So now following that square that we had last month, now we have the trine. So now we have, like, if last month was kind of that like scratchy realization, the Plutonian things being kind of like shoved in your face type of thing. Now you have this expansion or this abundance of those Plutonian type things. So think of it as like if the square was kind of like the roadblock, then like this is getting over that hump and like getting back on the path and moving forward with wherever Pluto and Aquarius is playing out in your life. Hopefully that kind of makes a little bit of sense. So it has some depth, it has some intensity, and it has some like residual strength to it, like things like we already kind of thought we dealt with this, but here it kind of comes back again type of situation. But now that we're coming through within the trine, now especially with the full moon too being ruled by Jupiter, we'll talk about that in a moment, you have this ability to look at it from maybe a little bit of a different light. So maybe that sun spotlight isn't shining on it from like this angle. We're looking at it from a different angle, and we're able to see something that we weren't able to see before, or we're able to realize there's like a different way to maneuver around whatever that Plutonian type thing is. Something kind of like that. It really is a little bit more beneficial, but it's there's this expansion of the mental Plutonian realm. So with that, there is like that potential for some deep things to come up. So whenever, Plutonian things aren't like necessarily the easy things, but kind of like the necessary things. But when we handle these things, within the trine where we're like working through the things, you're able to open up some kind of space. So like with the square can feel like very restricting and a little bit like feeling like you're confined. So this was the square that we would have had when the sun entered Taurus about a month ago. Now it's like you don't feel quite so restricted by the thing. You're able to kind of like open up and move past the thing, or utilize the thing, or whatever it is that you have to do with the thing. Being super broad, because of course it's different for all of us here, right? But whatever that Plutonian thing is that showed up for you as the sun entered the sign of Taurus, hopefully now you're starting to be able to find some sort of resolution or put the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's in it wherever Aquarius is within your own life here. Aquarius and Taurus, because really that's where a lot of this action has been going on. So sun coming into the trine with Pluto, again, that's all part of the full moon too. And then on Thursday, just as the full moon comes into its point of exactness, that's the other thing too that that I wanted to mention about that Sun-Pluto trine. So as it's coming into exactness on Wednesday, the full moon is on Thursday. So even though we're entering that full moon energy, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the moon is still within that waxing period as this Sun-Pluto trine comes exact. So it's still in that like gaining light and like gaining momentum. So it gives even more of that like ability to move forward past the roadblock type of thing. If the sun was maybe waning and losing light at the time, and things are maybe kind of slipping away, that it might be like, something more like we have to let go of or something like that. But here it's more forward thinking, it's more moving towards the illumination, moving towards that completeness and that complete luminosity. So that's the other little tidbit about the Sun-Pluto trine. So then Venus and Jupiter come into a conjunction on Thursday, right about the time that the full moon is coming together. Venus and Jupiter coming together, this is the focus for the week. This is the big positive, this is what the intention is based around. I create an open space for unity. What is a conjunction? A conjunction is a union between two planets. It's where they come together into the same degree of the zodiac in the sky from our point of view. And when these two planets come together, their qualifications and the things that they stand for and the things that they want to work on, those things start to meld together. So we have Venus and Jupiter, the two benefics, the two most generally positive and blessing and abundance and just good giving planets within the chart are coming together. That on its own says a lot about it. So you have this union of benefits. You have this union of Venus, the planet of harmony, joy, love, beauty, the creator of peace, and you have Jupiter, the expander of wisdom, knowledge, and really the planet that gives us cohesive order. So think of those higher governing bodies that we talk about with Jupiter. So within that you have governments, you have religions, you have all of these different higher bodies or higher governing thoughts that we subscribe to, or that we fall under their command somehow or something like that. But you have these two planets coming together, so you have this joyful creation energy of abundance and knowledge coming together. Lots of signatures of proliferation of life, of growth, of expansion, and things coming together nicely in a positive and beneficial way. Very, very broadly speaking. Coming together at 29 degrees of Taurus, so just ahead of Venus and Jupiter moving into the sign of Gemini. Anytime you have action going on right at those last couple degrees of a sign, just like the first couple degrees, there's even more of an amplification. So we have Venus in her home sign, the last degree of Taurus, coming together with Jupiter, the expander, the abundance giver, the knowledge giver, right? Coming together in the sign of Taurus. So this, although there's still lots of action going on, there's still lots of planets in the sign of Taurus for now. This feels like we're starting to get to that breath of fresh air that we've talked about everything that's happened within Taurus. We've talked about this for the last few weeks, right? It's been a few years of lots of things happening in the house that Taurus falls within our own lives. So now this feels like maybe not totally over, but the breath of fresh air that you can take, or the deep breath that you can take before moving on to another stage. For some people, it may be the last hurrah, and it may be the final piece to the puzzle that we need here to put together the things in the sign of Jupiter. But the union and the unity of these two planets coming together lifts us up, has a possibility to lift us up in a way to open situations, to create an open space for some kind of unity. These two planets coming together is definitely a possibility of going too far. So overindulgence. So Venus and Jupiter get together, and there's lots of feel-good energy, total enjoyment, total satisfaction, like pure pleasure, enjoyment, whatever that means for you. And when there's a good thing and a good feeling, like we want more, right? That's just kind of natural. So there is that possibility of like going too far. But really, this is a very like enjoyable transit. And coming together just as the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius, a sign that is ruled by Jupiter. So therefore, the full moon is ruled by Jupiter. Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter. So it puts this this very like positive and lovely spin on this full moon that is already optimistic, already forward thinking, because those are Sagittarius type properties, okay? Sagittarius is looking forward for the next adventure, the next thing to learn, the next little bit of information, the next community gathering, the next whatever the thing is. Sagittarius has lots of forward, fiery passion within it. And all of those Jupiterian type things. So Jupiter coming together with Venus right at the time of the full moon, when it rules the full moon, just really gives this like this really like able body feeling. So like maybe if there's been something that you just haven't quite been able to get through for whatever reason, maybe this will give you kind of that like positive push, or that positive like oomph. It could be very like energy driving, so like just things that really kind of prop you up. It could be like a little bit of luck kind of coming your way. It's really just a very like positive, upbeat, like I don't know, like a liquid luck type aspect. So yeah, lots of very positive energy coming through with it, as far as like bringing things together and unifying things. So like if there's been some sort of disconnect here within the sign of Taurus, we have this ability to within a culminating way, both at 29 degrees, the last degree of Taurus, as well as being at the full moon. So like the height, it's the height of the Taurus sign, the Taurus degrees, and it's also like the height of the lunar cycle. You have this very like highly like going out on a positive note. So like the last page of the chapter is really going to be full of like lovely and wonderful things before we move on to the Gemini chapter here. It's really, really, really nice. And, we've talked about before how anytime two planets come together as a seeding point and like begins a new cycle for those two planets. So you have a new cycle between Venus and Jupiter that is starting later on this week at the time of the Sagittarian full moon. Jupiter and Venus are not going to get together again until August of 2025, so this is starting a cycle for us of the two benefics, the two blessing givers, and the two life-giving and the growth proliferating planets coming together, starting a new cycle that's going to bring us into August of 2025. So that's over a year. So if there's things that you want, if there's Venus or Jupiterian things that you want to start or initiate, if there's any sort of like area where you're really like, think about like where Taurus is within your own life, and like is there anywhere, like where do you need to bring some sort of peace? Where do you need to bring some sort of justice? Where do you need to bring some sort of cohesion and some sort of space for unity? We have the opportunity to, within this full moon, like complete what's been going on within Taurus and like move forward from that. But we also have this ability to like start something new. It's really kind of a cool opportunity where there's almost like there's like this full moon energy within the full moon, and then it's almost like there's this new moon energy within Venus and Jupiter while they're participating in the full moon activity. Do you follow me there? So the new seeding point of a new cycle starting for Jupiter and Venus. You can almost kind of think of it as like the new moon phase for those two planets coming together. So it's like wrapping things up and culminating things that we've been working really, really hard on, maybe where there's been a little bit of like grief and, you know, guff and like hard things going on. But now we can go out on a positive note and move forward with a new cycle that is going to carry us through for over a year. So I encourage you to think about where this space for unity needs to be created within your own life. You can look at your chart. You can look and see where Taurus is, or you can just think and guarantee if we were to look at your chart, we can work our way back to the house that represents the things that are coming up in your own mind as you're thinking about this. You know, we talked about how expansive this lunar cycle was 2 weeks ago when we talked about the new moon. So the new moon that we had in the sign of Taurus, we talked about how the full moon would be in the sign of Sagittarius. Our intention 2 weeks ago was I experienced this world with new meaning. So it had this like newness, but expanding quality within the intention that we had 2 weeks ago. I create an open space for unity. I really like the I create because that's putting power and agency within you. And that's what these two planets coming together, Venus and Jupiter, is they give you agency. They give you your own ability to feel empowered and to feel like you can do what the things are that you need to do. You can take the steps, you can take the risk. You can see where some of that can go too far. Like you can have enjoyment and you can indulge in things, you know, just like eat the piece of cake, not the whole cake type of thing, right? Because overindulgence could happen very, very quickly here. But I really like this, like the space of creating something new and opening up a space for some kind of union. And we see this within the Sun-Pluto trine as well. So like we talked about how we had that square a month ago, where maybe you felt a little bit pinned down by the Pluto-Sun square, but now things are hopefully starting to kind of like open up and expand in a way that allows you to have some sort of movement. And hopefully you've been like actively creating, actively participating in that opening. And chances are if it's opening and if it's positive, chances are that you've been actively and like consciously participating in that somehow, some way. So lots of really cool positive energy here, or potential within this week. And then pulled a couple cards for this week. So hey everybody in the comments, I didn't say hi individually to everybody, so I'm just gonna say hey, and I appreciate all of you. I see the comments coming in. So yes, lots of positive, expanding energy, lots of ability to, like, you know, with the Pluto Sun square, like ability to handle the things that have maybe been kind of weighing us down, or maybe not like a resolution necessarily, but there's a positive outlook, like there's another option, we can see the end of the road, or like the light at the end of the tunnel type of situation. So I went to go pull cards for today. Started with the same oracle deck that I've been using. I've got a few decks, but these ones have just, I don't know, these ones have just been working really, really good lately. So this is where I'm at. And the first card that I pulled from the oracle deck, let me move my screen here. See if we can get it so you can see it. Okay, you're not going to be able to necessarily get it to focus in here, but it's the Air Guardian. So we're talking about planets starting to transition into the sign of Gemini, and we get the Air Guardian. So shift your perspective. Air Guardian, shift your perspective. So Gemini is a sign that sees lots of perspectives. Maybe it doesn't get super deep into all of them because it's putting its hands into lots of little things. But as an air sign that is a Mercury ruled air sign, Gemini wants to understand all of the things, right? And sometimes in order to understand all of the things or to expand our minds somehow, we need to find a way to shift our perspective somehow. So I think we've had messages within the cards lately of like not being narrow-minded, not being like, not having like tunnel vision and being like hyper focused on things. And I feel like this card is telling us that you are starting to shift away from that, that like narrow-mindedness and that like hyper focus. And perspective is starting to shift as things move from this earth sign into an air sign ruled by Mercury. So, by the weekend, we will have Sun, Venus, and Jupiter all in the sign of Gemini. And that's going to shift our perspective. That shifts our perspective from a weighted groundedness into a more airy, intellectual perspective. And we still have some action going on in the sign of Taurus, so it almost feels like we have some groundedness, but then we have some airiness. So it's like, how can you shift your perspective to keep your feet firmly planted on the ground while allowing your head to move up into the clouds a little bit? How can you create an open space of unity, of being grounded and yet being opened? Not being so like grounded and like, not grounded doesn't necessarily mean closed off. It just means stable, right? So I thought the air guardian for talking about moving into Gemini is super, super cool. And then for the tarot, came up with two. I know I do that quite frequently. Excuse me. King of Cups is the first card that came up, and I wanted a little bit of a follow-up. And after the King of Cups came, the Queen of Pentacles came. I found it interesting that the King of Cups was upright and the Queen of Pentacles was reversed. So if you think about these two cards together, there's a duality here. We have a real like balance between the king and the queen. And, we even have a duality and a balance within elements, because we have cups is the water element and pentacles is the earth element, and those two elements are complementary to each other within the elemental scheme. So you have these two parts that work together. You have water and earth. You have the king and the queen. So you have the feminine and the masculine, but there's some sort of disconnect between the two within these cards, because one is upright and one is reversed. So one is kind of moving towards you and one is moving away from you. One is something of like receiving and one is something of giving and sharing. And to me, this is telling us that, you got to have that balance of both and not have, like, in order to create this open space for unity, you have to be a bit open-minded and like super inclusive, like Mercury in the sign of Gemini. Mercury is the planet that doesn't have a gender assigned to it. I find that interesting. Mercury's gender is based on its position within the sun. So like if it's morning star or evening star, that will tell us if Mercury is more masculine or more feminine. You have something similar with Venus being like morning star, evening star, being a little more feminine, a little more masculine, or a little bit more like mature or like youthful type of situation, if we start to think of it that way. But Venus is still a feminine planet. Mercury is not. So Gemini is very like ambiguous, very much like both and. Taurus is a little bit more like solid and stable within its own right and like its own path. Like, why change things if it's working out good type of situation? Gemini is more like, let's try all the things. Let's just try it and see what happens. Where Taurus is more like, no, this is working just fine, so there's no reason to change it. There's no reason to do anything different. So the King of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles together is telling me that we have the ability, and like we already know we have all the things that we need, but in order to actually bring those together, perhaps we need to shift our perspective to marry the two and not think of the two parts as like separate. Maybe we need to shift our perspective and be a little bit more inclusive, like Gemini would be, compared to Taurus being a little bit more solid and a little less movable, like that type of situation. So I think it's just, I think these two cards together are telling us that, like, you have the energy, you have that masculine energy, you have that feminine energy, you have what you need to receive is coming towards you, but you also have things that you have to give, to share. So there's this real like community thing within it. But when you bring the two together, what could open up? So creating an open space for unity, you know, like open space and unity, those two words, like if you think of those separately, like as words or phrases or whatever, they're a little bit like, they're a little contradictory, right? So like open space is like wide and like, you know, like things are free moving and there's like lots of, I don't know, space and ability within an area that is like the open space that's created. For unity, like it doesn't matter how big the space is, the two things are right here together. They're like coming together as one. So we have this kind of like contradictory thing that we're pulling together here by creating this open space for things to kind of come together naturally. And I kind of see that in this this opposition, this like complementary opposition within the cards of the King of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles. So I thought that was kind of neat. And yeah, Melissa, you pulled the Ten of Wands. So the wands that's going to relate us, excuse me, the Ten of Wands with a Sagittarius full moon. Perfect. Wands, fire. Yeah, so I think there's lots of good potential within this week. Last week I said like super mixed bag. Don't know if it was a mixed bag for you, like some good, some a little bit more difficult, a little bit more scratchy. We had Mercury coming through to that square with Pluto. Now the sun's coming through a trine with Pluto. So it feels like there's a potential for, if last week was a little bit of a struggle, there's a potential for this week to maybe be a little bit more giving or a little more generous somehow. So that's what I have as far as the astrology goes for this week. This is really a cool moon, cool full moon. So like the things that you've been initiating within the new moon that we had 2 weeks ago, absolutely coming to a culmination just like we have every month. But then you have this ability to like roll right into this creation energy with Venus and Jupiter. So if there are things that you like want to start, want to initiate, if there's any sort of like habits that you want to initiate or projects or anything like that, Venus, Jupiter coming together is very, very cool for it. Also, Venus and Jupiter coming together is sextiling Neptune in the sign of Pisces. So the new moon was sextiling Saturn in early Pisces, and the full moon is sextiling Neptune in later Pisces. So you have this connection to the collective, this connection to water, with that sextile to Neptune, you have this like ability to have the abundance and the blessings coming from the universe, like coming from source. That really is written into this week, and something that you can move forward with. So I'm excited to get into the meditation and move forward with all of this. I really, really encourage you to spend some time with this energy that we have this week, and focus on the good and the positive things, the life-giving and beneficial things that you want to bring into your life. If you come at it from a wholehearted consideration, like we were talking last week, and you just really put your all into it, there's always a chance, there's always, like, the universe listens to us, but there's really good ability within the universe this week. So yeah, good stuff, and excited to get into the meditation for this week. So yeah, let's get ready for that. We have our intentional candle. As always, it's behind the intention right now, so go ahead and take one last look at the intention if you haven't. I create an open space for unity. I create an open space for unity. You are taking charge in creating the space, just like a Sagittarius would, moving forward, just like a Gemini would, taking charge and going forward in their own way. I create an open space, an opening through these wonderful trine that we have to Pluto from the Sun, giving us some sort of resolution or some sort of forthcoming of where Pluto has been maybe a little bit scratchy within our lives, and unity. Venus and Jupiter coming together, the two benefics in the sky coming together in Venus's sign at the time of full moon, sextiling Neptune, giving us that little extra intuitive guidance from the universe. Maybe letting something kind of dissipate away from us that just truly no longer serves us. This is one of those aspects that speaks to that. Like, I let go of that which no longer serves me and only allow positive blessings to come my way. That is a great intention for this week. It really is. So I will move our intention, and then we have our lovely white intentional candle, always white for purity, amplification, and you have the ability to change this candle into any color you want it to be. So if you need it to be green for healing, you turn it into green. If you need red for passion, if you need pink for self-love, blue for communication, whatever that first color is that comes to your mind, you can leave it white too. You can just leave it alone and have it be our intentional candle. But I'm going to light our intentional candle, and as I do so, I'm going to recite our intentional phrase. So feel free to say that out loud or mentally in your head with me if you'd like to. I create an open space for unity. All right, so we're going to light our candle here. The flame ignites, the flame grows, and as the flame grows, so does our intention. I create an open space for unity. I create an open space for unity. Everything that you've been through, every difficulty that you've had within the last little while or within your whole entire life has brought you to this moment, right? All of your experiences, all of the tools, all of the resources, all of the lessons that you learned, all of the people, all of the family members, all of the friends, all of the coworkers, all of the neighbors that have helped you when you needed a helping hand, those within your community, your own personal thoughts, your own personal growth through situations and circumstances, your own processing of your mind and the way you are wired, in the way you are built to, quite honestly, the way that you chose to be built and the way you chose to be programmed for this life. Sometimes it's not always easy to understand, but all of this has brought you up to this moment right here, right now. And it really is that big all the time, right? Like the full moon energy of the culmination of things that we're coming into. Really, we can tap into that like culmination type energy, not necessarily a full moon, but that like culminating energy at any time that we need to. And really, when we think about it that way, very like broadly of just all of the circumstances, all of the events, all of the things leading right up to like wherever you are, that in its own can like create a huge open space, right? It can bring an open space for lots of things, lots of emotions, but it definitely brings in a space for like unity of your life, right? And like of your path. It's really easy for us to like, want to single something out, like, oh, if I wasn't like this or didn't have this trait, or if it wasn't for this person, or it wasn't for this circumstance, or like, oh, if this thing didn't happen, or if I had this thing or this thing did happen. I'm getting a little bit like on my soapbox here now, not trying to, but like it all just leads together into this big conglomerate of exactly where you're supposed to be. And this week has an energy of this is right where you're supposed to be. And Venus and Jupiter are going to be sure that you know that you are right where you are supposed to be. All right, deep breath after whatever that was. Just looking to create a wide open space of unifying all the things and seeing what comes about from it this week. So if you haven't already, find yourself a nice comfortable position. If you need to get up and move around because I've been talking too long, feel free to do so. Get out any last little wiggles and fidgets that you have. As planets start to move into the sign of Gemini, we might start to feel like the pace start to pick back up. Our mind might start moving faster. Events might start moving a little bit faster again. So, being within that flexible space, and also being within a flexible space, but also finding that grounding space. So you might feel that like you need to come to meditation more, but maybe it's difficult to do so because things are just happening so quickly. You may find that you have a harder time focusing and concentrating. So if you need to do like moving meditations, if you need to get up and move around, totally feel free to do so. Like now and whatever other meditation practices that you have. So come to a nice comfortable position whenever you're ready to do so. And if you're ready to go ahead and close your eyes, feel free to do so. If you're not quite ready to close your eyes, let's just soften the gaze and relax our eyes. Perhaps our vision softens a little bit. Perhaps we start to see a wide variety of objects that are within our field of vision, but not focusing on any one particular thing. Perhaps our eyes start to gently close, or perhaps they stay partially open for right now. Allowing ourselves to be open and creating the space of unity wherever we are in this moment. As As we always do in these meditations, let's take a moment to check in with your breath. May not linger here quite as long as we normally do, but take stock of your level of energy, the quality of your breath, the efficiency of your breath. Just as everything has led up to this moment, all of that leads up into the quality of your breath. So if your breath is fast or shallow, if it's slow and steady, either way, we make space and acknowledge whatever it is that has affected our breath, either positively or negatively. Not seeing it as a good thing or a bad thing or a positive or a negative, but just the state of where you are. And slowly we start to deepen our breath. Slowly, gently extending the inhale, filling our lungs completely, feeling your diaphragm lower down as your abdomen may start to extend, navel moving away from the spine, filling you fully, and releasing the breath. Continuing the alternation of breathing in and breathing out. Each time you bring some mindfulness to your breath, you are creating a space of unity between your physical body and your mental body. Every time you allow air to come into your body, entering your lungs, you are creating space for energy to enter your body. And as you exhale and release the air that you had just inhaled, you create an open space for rest. Breathing in, creating a space for movement, and bringing in energy. Exhaling, creating a space for release. And eventually resting. As you continue breathing in and out, you start to feel a lightness within your body. An airiness, a lightness, and a movability. However that translates for you. you start to create space within the small little parts of your body, breathing love and energy into the smallest little spaces in between each and every one of your cells of your body. As you inhale, you create a unity between you and your environment by bringing some of the air, the atmosphere around you into your being. And as you exhale, you continue to participate in this process of unity by expelling your own energy, your own life force, your own prana into the environment that is around you. As you continue breathing in and out, I invite you to think about where you've been working so hard within your life recently. Where have you been taking action? Where has there been a little stuckness? Where has there been movement? And where could you use a little extra assistance from the universe? Venus and Jupiter coming together this week. Bringing their soft, supportive, life-giving light together. While the moon is at a height of luminosity at the same time. Within the full moon, we have a time of culmination, a time of celebrating, a time of preparing to reap the rewards of all of the hard work for the first half of the cycle. Meanwhile, Venus and Jupiter sit together at the very last degree of Taurus, seeing how hard you've worked, seeing where you've struggled, seeing the effort that you've put in. And they lend you a planetary helping hand. And we thank these universal energies of love and harmony, of knowledge, wisdom, and order. We thank them for supporting us. You have all that you need. Anything else that is required will come your way at precisely the exact right moment. Now, Venus and Jupiter can help us where we've been struggling, can help ease the situations, circumstances, thoughts, processes. But at this moment of them coming together, there is a moment of seeding. There's a moment of initiating something lovely, something beautiful, something cohesive and beneficial. Something that brings harmony, love, justice. Something that brings benefit. Something that will allow you to stand firmly and confidently in your process and in your path, knowing that you are divinely supported every step of the way. Thank each and every one of you for participating in this meditation in any capacity that you are able to. Each and every one of you are a Jupiter, Venus blessing in my week and in my life. So thank you. The divine light in me honors and recognizes the divine light in each and every one of you, creating a space for wonderful blessings to come our way. Because after all, if we don't create that space for the blessings, the abundance, the wisdom, the knowledge, the order, the knowing, the ethics, the morality, if we don't create a space for it, how is it going to show up? I create an open space for unity. I've always said that we are co-creators of our own reality, so we can create within a framework that we have already set up on a level that can't be totally understood within this life. But there is some ability here to ask for blessings, ask for guidance, and ask and you shall receive. Within that framework, like, I don't know about asking to win the lottery. Somebody might win the lottery. Somebody very well might win the lottery, but that'll show up in their own chart too. So thank you all of you for being here. Thank you. And I just think if there's a week to go forward with some optimism, this is the week to do so. So if last week was a mixed bag for you, roll into this week saying, I am creating an open space for unity, for blessing, for whatever word you want to use. Totally feel free to change it. I've said that before. So I created an open space for blank. Where do you want the unity to be? Sit with this one a little bit. Sit with this one for a little while. Maybe it comes right to you, maybe not. So thank you, all of you, and I will see you all next week. Take a look on for a new intention on Sunday. So you can find that on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube community tab, and on our website as well, on the intention live stream tab. So I look forward to seeing you all next week. Like I said, reach out at any time. Happy full moon, happy Sagittarius full moon, happy birthday to you, Geminis, and I will be talking to you all real soon. So have a good night. Bye.